Hello everyone. Today we are starting with 7th standard geography second chapter. So its chapter name is Inside Our Earth. So we'll read today and then understand. So we'll understand how to read NCERT as well as the chapter. So that is the target for today. So we'll start with the first line. The Earth, our homeland, is a dynamic planet. It is constantly undergoing changes inside and outside. Have you ever wondered what lies in the interior of Earth? What is the Earth made up of? So here is a question. Actually, I am just kind of explaining today how to read NCERT along with explaining the chapter. So they are saying Earth is a dynamic planet. We know that. Why we say something is dynamic? We say something is dynamic is because it is keep on changing. So Earth is changing both inside and outside. So outside how it is changing we'll learn in other chapters. But here the question is do you understand what is there inside the interior of Earth was a question. So we are going to see how inside of Earth is made up of. So that we'll understand what are the changes it is going through and how it is dynamic. Okay. So that's the first paragraph explanation. We'll see next heading, interior of the earth. So this is the chapter name also. Okay. Just like an onion, the earth is made up of several concentric layers with one inside another. So they are just comparing with the onion. So there are many layers. If you imagine onion, there are different layers. So similar to that only earth is also is what they are explaining. The uppermost layer over the earth's surface is called as crust. So we already learnt in the last chapter that lithosphere is the outer crust, right? So first upper layer is crust. It is the thinnest of all the layers. It is about 35 kilometers. So how lengthy it is? It is 35 kilometers and it is the thinnest layer. So this is a key point, okay? Then on the continental mass and only 5 kilometer. So on the continental masses and only 5 kilometer on the ocean floors. So 35 kilometers, see, earth crust is divided into continental and oceanic. Okay. Continental in the sense we don't have water, we have only landform. Whereas on the water surface we have ocean, right? So above that also we have lithosphere. Yesterday we studied from that. So for if it is a continent, 35 kilometers wide, long it is. Whereas if it is a ocean, we have 5 kilometer length. So here you can see the outermost layer is called as crust. In that, if it is continental crust, 35 kilometer length and 5 kilometer if it is oceanic floors. Okay. The main mineral constituents of the continental mass are silica and alumina. It is thus called Sial. Si silica and Al alumina. So now they are saying the composition. Now we know continental, see this is continental crust because these are the continents, right? So this continental crust is 35 kilometer and then we got to know it is made up of Sial in the sense silica and alumina. The oceanic crust mainly consists of a silica and magnesium. It is therefore called Sima. So then if you compare this with oceanic crust, so it is having a crust of length 5 kilometer and it is made up of Sima. Means what? Silica and magnesium. Just beneath the crust is the mantle. So once you see the crust, there is one more layer, that is mantle. See, this is mantle. First we have a crust layer, then we have a mantle, second layer. So now they are talking about mantle. So just beneath the crust is the mantle with extend up to depth of a 2,900 kilometer below the crust. So it is of length or depth 2,900 kilometer. The innermost layer is the core with the radius of about 3,500 kilometer. It is mainly made up of nickel and iron and is called knife. So the central core has very high temperature and pressure. So now we'll see this. See, in this if you now see, you'll understand. So this layer is called as, this layer is crust. So now this layer is mantle. So this is of 2,000 700 kilometer, you can say 900 kilometer, you can say approximately 3000 kilometer depth. Whereas the next is the mantle. This is mantle, right? This is of 3000 kilometer depth and it is having high pressure and temperature. Why? Because it already does about 2 layers suppressing it, right? Obviously it will have a high temperature and pressure. And also it is what is one more point they mentioned? They mentioned it is made up of a knife, that is nickel and iron. So Fe is iron, ferrous, okay. So this is the composition. Now we got to know the depth, also the composition of inside the earth, okay, the different layers. Now let us see if there is something interesting. Oh, they are asking something interesting. Do you know? The deepest mine in the world is in South Africa. It is about 4 kilometers deep. In search for oil, engineers have dug a hole about 6 kilometers deep. To reach to the center of the earth, which is not possible, you will have to dig a hole 6,000 kilometers deep on the ocean floor. So see, the longest or the deepest point is in South Africa. Why they dig? For mining. Up to where? 4 kilometers. After that, why are they not able to dig? Because there will be no much of oxygen or temperature and pressure, density. These things matters, right, to dig. So deepest will be 4 kilometers, what they are saying. That is in South Africa. Good. So one more, do you know? The crust forms only 1% of the volume of the earth. 84% consists of a mantle and 15% makes the core. The radius of the earth is 6,371 kilometer. So approximately 6,300 kilometer, or we have the radius, not the diameter, just the radius. And they were saying, see, crust is only 1%, whereas 84% is mantle. That means mantle is very lengthy. Mantle is very lengthy. Even core is lesser. So we have core 15%. That's all. So mostly it is mantle is what they were saying by the depth and all. Okay. Next, rocks and minerals. Now we have seen what and all is there, different layers. And we already studied in the last class that lithosphere is made up of rocks and minerals, if you remember. So now in depth we are studying about that, rocks and minerals. That's how you should connect different chapters of NCERT, okay. So the earth crust is made up of various types of rocks, of course. Any natural mass of mineral matter that makes up the earth crust is called rock. So what they are saying, any mineral matter which is on the earth crust is called as rock. So the definition is not much important, but yeah. Rocks can be different color, size, texture. Of course we know rocks are of different colors, texture and all. There are 3 major types of rocks. So now here it comes the important point and the question asking area. So one area we understood the different layers of the earth and how much depth they are, how much thickness they have, what is the volume of them and what it is made up of. After that we are reading about rocks and minerals. Now we are going to have different types of minerals or rocks, particularly rocks. So it is like igneous rock, sedimentary rock and metamorphic rock. Now if you are able to understand what are these rocks and how they are made, then your work is over for this chapter. So we'll see. When the molten magma cools, it becomes solid. So when magma cools, what it becomes? It becomes solid only, yes. So rocks thus formed are called igneous rocks. So because of magma cooling, if you get a rock, it is called as igneous rock. They are also called primary rocks. Why? Because that is the rock formation first step, right? When magma cools, a rock is formed. That is called as igneous rock. That is a primary step. That's why it is a primary rock. There are 2 types of igneous rocks. In igneous rock also there are 2 types, intrusive and extrusive. So what is intrusive, what is extrusive? So the word itself is self-explanatory. We'll see still. Intrusive is inside the earth, extrusive is outside the earth. Still we'll see what they have given. Can you imagine lava coming out from the volcanoes? Lava is actually fiery red molten magma coming out from the interior of the earth on its surface. When this molten lava comes on the earth's surface, it rapidly cools down and becomes solid. So when it comes out of the earth, quickly it will cool because outside it is cool only, right? Rocks formed in such a way on the crust are called extrusive. So they are saying outside the earth, if it is forming, it is extrusive rock. They cool quickly also. They have a very fine grain structure. So because they cool quickly, they have fine grain structure. Okay. For example, basalt. So basalt rock is example of extrusive igneous rocks. This is one of the PYQ. They'll give different kind of rocks and they'll ask this is like kind of match the following. Okay. The Deccan Plateau is made up of a basalt rock. One such example is Deccan Plateau. We already studied in previous chapter different landforms like plateaus, plains, mountains. So plateau, Deccan Plateau we studied like it is made up of a volcanic fissure material. So that is basalt rock. Sometimes the molten magma cools down deep inside the earth crust. Solid rocks so formed are called intrusive igneous rocks. Since they cool down slowly, they form large grains. Granite is an example of such a rock. So, now comes one more term, intrusive rocks, igneous rocks. So, that means intrusive, inside the earth. So, inside the earth also it is very warm and temperature is high. So, it takes lot of time to cool. That's why they won't form small structure, but they'll form a big structure. So that's why it is like strong also. So one such example is granite. We know granite will be used in kitchens and all, right? Why? Because the durability. Exactly. So grinding stones used to prepare paste powder of spices and grains are made of granite. We know this, right? Yeah. Rocks roll down, cracks and hit each other and are broken down into small fragments. These smaller particles are called sediments. So what are sediments? So sediments, see, if it is a rock, from this something is eroded and become broken, hit each other and become small pieces, then it is called as sediments. So till here we are done with the igneous rocks. Igneous rocks are primary rocks. There are two types, that is extrusive and intrusive. Extrusive will have a fine grains. Why? Because cool fastly. Whereas intrusive have a very large grains. Why? Because they cool very slow. Example is granite. So till here it is over. Next we come for sedimentary rock. For that we should understand what is sediments. Sediments I already told, which will like kind of eroded, roll down, crack, hit each other and form small fragments. Those are called as sediments. These sediments are transported and deposited by wind, water, etc. These loose sediments are compressed and hardened to form layers of rocks. These type of rocks are called sedimentary rocks. See, if it is breaking down, these are sediments. They are broken down, hit each other, got cracks and all. Okay, sediments. Now these sediment has to be transported from one place to another place. So through water, wind, etc. If it is transported and settled in some layers, one by one, it will be transported. So your medium will be water, air, etc. So because it is deposited one above the other, it will form a layers. So that is called as this rock, layered rock is called as sedimentary rock. Here is the example, see. So different layers, this is kind of different, this is different, this is different. It's a layered rock, right? It is sedimentary rock. In sedimentary rock, what you want? You want sediments to form. That means you want that to crack and then break down. Then it has to be transported. Then it has to be deposited in a layers. For example, sandstone sandstone is made from grains of sand. These rocks may also contain fossils of plants. So when they are carrying, they can also carry fossils, right? So fossils of plants, animals and other microorganisms that once lived on them. Okay, so sedimentary rocks, some example is sandstone. And these sedimentary rocks also contain fossil fuels, whereas igneous rocks won't contain. Why? Because immediately, see, it's a lava, very hot, and they will cool. So even if there is something in contact to it, what it happens? It will burn out, right? So there is no possibility. Whereas in sedimentary rock, that possibility is there. This was once a question, like sedimentary rocks contain fossil fuels. Of course, it should contain. Then, igneous and sedimentary rocks can change into metamorphic rocks under great heat and pressure. For example, so now they are saying metamorphic rock. So how metamorphic rock is formed? Because of sedimentary rocks and igneous rocks. Once they erode because of high temperature and pressure. So they are saying great heat and pressure. So high temperature and pressure, because of that, if there is some other rock form, that is metamorphic rock. For example, clay changes into slate and limestone into marble. Again, this was the question once. It's like match the following. Some exam. It's like clay changes into what? A metamorphic rock, a slate. Clay becomes slate. Clay becomes slate and limestone into marble. So marble is a metamorphic rock, not sedimentary. So limestone becomes marble, and clay becomes slate. This is an important point to be noted. Rocks are very useful to us. The hard rocks are used for making roads, houses and buildings. You use stones in many games. For example, 7 stones, hopscotch, 5 stones. Find out some more games. They're just asking, okay? Fine. So collect pictures of some monuments. This one is not much required for us. So these are map of marble. Marble is what? Marble is a metamorphic rock made up of limestone. So we'll see the next one. You will be surprised to know that one type of rock changes to another type under certain condition in a cyclic manner. Now they are saying it's not a permanent nature. First of all, we should understand on earth nothing is permanent. Everything is dynamic. Even the rocks can change from one form to another form. That is what they are going to explain now. This process of transformation of the rock from one to another is known as rock cycle. So it's a rock cycle. From one form to other form it is going to change. There is a figure, nice figure. I'll explain this. You have already learned when the molten magma cools, it solidifies to become igneous rocks. These igneous rocks are broken down into small particles that are transported and deposited to form sedimentary rock. When the igneous and sedimentary rocks are subjected to heat and pressure, they change into metamorphic rocks. The metamorphic rocks, which are still under great heat and pressure, melt down to form molten magma. This molten magma again can cool down and solidify into igneous rocks. Rocks are made up of different minerals. Minerals are naturally occurring substances which have certain physical properties and definite chemical composition. Minerals are very important to humankind. Some are used as fuels, for example, coal, natural gas and petroleum. They are also used in industries like iron, aluminium, gold, uranium, etc. In medicine, in fertilizers, etc. So now they are explaining a rock cycle. Already I read, I'll just explain. See, we know from magma whatever rock is forming, that is igneous rock. This is primary rock. If it erode and forms a sediment, this sediment will be calci. They are showing this igneous rock will make into sediment, and if it is transported and deposited, it become a sedimentary rock. So under high pressure and temperature of these two rocks, they will become metamorphic rock. Again, if it is more temperature in metamorphic rock, it will become a igneous rock. Like it will become magma, and magma will come out and they will form igneous rock. Like this, it's a cycle. One form to another form, there is a possibility of changing. Then they were saying these rocks will contain different minerals. Minerals in the sense they will be having a definite properties like physical and chemical properties, and we are making use of those minerals. Some of them they already mentioned, fossil fuels, fertilizers, etc. In different industries also we are making use of it. So that's all about rocks, minerals and all. So yes, I'll just summarize. So inside the earth we just read there are 3 different layers and their composition along with their depth. So what are those? Crust is the thinnest layer. It contains like 35 km in continent and 5 km depth in oceanic. It is made up of silica and aluminum. Then we have mantle, which is 84% of volume is because of this, and it is for 2900 km. And we have a core made up of a knife, that is what is knife is nickel and iron. So it is the deepest point, I mean 3000 km depth it is having. It is subjected to high temperature and pressure. Obviously, mantle is made up of a silica and magnesium we have seen. So this is done. After that we started learning about different minerals and rocks. So under that rocks we studied three types of rocks. We have igneous rocks, sedimentary rock and metamorphic rock. Igneous rock is because of magma and this is primary, and these igneous rocks are formed into sediments, and if they are transported and if they are deposited in layers, that is sedimentary rock. If these igneous and sedimentary rocks under high pressure and temperature, they will become a metamorphic rock. So this is what we studied, and we know marble is a metamorphic rock from a limestone. So then we become clay to slate is what we have seen. Slate is a metamorphic rock. So these are the some of the key points we have learned today, and we also learned there is a rock cycle, because there is one form to another form conversion from rocks also. So these are the things we have learned. That is all about for today. We'll solve MCQs. Or yeah, from first question. What are the three layers of earth? Already explained. What is a rock? Name three types of rocks. Extrusive, intrusive rock. What do you mean by rock cycle? What are the uses of rocks? What are the metamorphic rocks? So all these things I explain in the summary. We'll go for second thing. The rock which is made up of a molten magma is igneous rock. The innermost layer of the earth is core. Gold, petroleum and coal are examples of rock minerals. Yeah, minerals. Gold, petroleum and all minerals. Okay. So rocks which contain fossils are called as sedimentary rock. Not the metamorphic, not even the igneous. The thinnest layer is crust. So what is core? Core is the thinnest layer. Minerals made up of okay. So they have definite chemical composition. So this is this. Rocks. What is rock? Rocks are used here also. Earth surface. Fine. We'll see. Clay is we have seen clay is what? Cyan is silica aluminum, made up of silica alumina. So if any further clarification for this, you comment below. So that's all for today. Have a good day.